So let's fast forward to then us meeting, because you were speaking at the Brokery event, right?
Yes.
And Root and River came up, and I was like, dang, because Stuart and I were already sitting there trying to think of like what we were already brainstorming, right? And I was like, man, that's a great name, right? And then I decided, well, now it's got to be 2 words for sure. And it's got to be something and something, not just something, not like 2 words, but a word and something, right? That's not what it is, but that's what I really wanted it to be.
Well, kind of it is.
Yeah.
Bison Ventures.
Right, but not Bison and Ventures.
Correct.
Right. So after you spoke, it's funny, I looked at Stu and I was like, we really need to talk to her, right? And at that point, he knew that he knew you, obviously, because you guys, your husband and him are friends, and you had obviously hung out with him before. But so that led us to the fact of Jeremy coming on board, right? Well, Jeremy came from Chase, and he's like, what? Why would we hire? Let's just pick something, and we got to get the paperwork started, right? So, but we couldn't come up with the name, and we're like, we really need to hire. We need to do things right. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Let's just not go to 99 Designs and pick out a logo and figure out a name and yada, yada, yada. So when we finally met at Industrious over in Old Town, not the one in the mall, by the way, that wasn't Industrious, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We sat in there. She's an artist too, by the way.
This is
so true. Like, which you had to redraw everything because we couldn't get her iPad to work on the freaking screen there. So she had to literally draw everything, which was actually cool to watch it all go, come into fruition. But it took about an hour, I would say, of us sitting there going, thank God we hired somebody to do this, because we were like, so just like, boy, we're in over our skis on this. And at that point, we did decide that it was going to be Bison Ventures-ish. We knew it was going to be Bison something, but it was going to be Bison Capital, Bison Financial, Bison Mortgage. And Justin just would not allow us it to be anything but Ventures, because he's got this whole thing. I'm sure you both do, but I just remember him. Everything's got to be a little vague.
Yep.
You have to have a reason to have a conversation, right? And we're like, well, in this business, everybody needs to know that they're going to get a mortgage, not going to get capital for their business, right? So that was a tough thing to kind of get through. And we even left that day really still not sure of what the name of the company was going to be besides, but we all liked Bison for sure. And we liked Capital, we liked Venture. We loved Ventures the most, actually. But it just didn't. We're like, what is Trey going to do when he goes like Googles us and see Bison Ventures? He's going to go, okay, I'm going to go to Bison Mortgage. That looks better, right? I'm going to hire those guys.
This was a conversation that Stu and I had when we met for breakfast. And you were like, well, we're thinking it's pretty unclear. And I was like, wait a second. And you got irritated with me because I'm like, it's got to be Ventures. It can't be mortgage. It can't be lending. It can't be loans. And
good job, Trey.
Well, guess what? It still could have been all those.
It could have.
It could have worked just fine.
I know you went around and round on that one.
But it sounds so good.
The way it sounds and looks is by far the best.
Yeah.
But I have had plenty of people ask me, because not that we've told everybody, but I have had people ask me, like, why'd you name it that? Like, what do you guys do? What is it? And I was like, well, this is exactly why. So we can start a conversation about what it is we're doing. But we did add informed mortgage lending underneath it. So
it's your tagline.
So everybody can stop asking those questions.
Yeah.
But
a couple thoughts there. Because we've been talking about brand, and people might be like, oh, yeah, like your logo. Because that's what people think about with brand, right? And the name. Right. So brand is so much deeper than that.
Which we didn't know.
Yeah, which people don't know. That's just,
they don't.
People just assume, oh, yeah, your colors, your logo. And we're like, yeah, and a lot more. So we practice what we call intrinsic branding. And to your point, the goal of intrinsic branding is to know who you are, know how you're going to express that in the world, and evoke curiosity. People think that they confuse marketing with branding, and they think that your brand has to answer all the questions. It has to explain everything. And it doesn't. It really needs to express that emotion. And then kind of lead into more conversation. Like if somebody asks you what you do and you say, I'm in mortgage, that's the end of the conversation. If you say, well, we're Bison Ventures, and we believe that expertise without empathy is failure.
I love that so much.
Look out for the shirts, people.
And all kinds of other
That's
stuff.
our favorite. That to me, that was my favorite thing that like I think about that all the time, and I see that all the time, and I'm like, this is such a cool thing. Powerful. Expertise without empathy is failure, because it is a big deal when it comes in this business, right? It's like bedside manner, right? You can be a brilliant loan surgeon, so to speak, but if you're not cool when you're talking to somebody on the phone and not making them feel good about the fact of what they're going through, because we do know that it can be difficult, you're losing the deal and they're going somewhere else probably.
Yeah.